S1E39. Here we come. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live in a minute.
Welcome to the Shamrock Sports Talk Show with your hosts, Igor Mitic from Serbia, Europe, and Andy Vernon from Concord, New Hampshire. We are about pride, tradition, sweat, tears, victory, and determination of Boston sports. Give us a ring at 512-543-4662. Be sure to download the Try 99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support. Now, let's get into the Shamrock Sports Talk Show. Hello, and thank you for tuning into the In the Zone Sports Talk Show Network, LLC, where you can find the best in sports talk television and radio shows. Mondays, check out the Just Us Sports Talk Show from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your hosts, Kevin L. Dixon and Dana Clark. Then Tuesday, we have the Stars Talking Cowboys Sports Show from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern with your hosts, Sean Fox, K Boogie, and Cowboys Nikki. And on Wednesday, tune in for the Out the Block Sports Talk Show from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with hosts Robert Lewis, Donna Hainsworth, and Brett Shields. Then meet up with us on Saturday for the Enhanced Sports Talk Show from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern with hosts Lou Tenor and Steve Davidson. We also have the DMV Sports Talk Show from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern with your host Razul McGee. As well, we have the Shamrock Sports Talk Show from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern with Igor Mitic and Andy Vernon. Finally, rounding out the week, we have on Sunday, That's Not How We See It Sports Talk Show from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern with your host, Alfred Wallace, Tony Wallace, and Harold Robertson III. These shows come to you by way of the In the Zone Sports Talk Show Network, LLC. Be sure to download the Try 99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition. I'm really happy to announce that this is Shamrock Sports Talk Show number 39. And what is the title? The title is The Celtics Traded for Mr. Jrue Holiday. This is what we are going to talk about here. Me and my partner in crime tonight, Andy Vernon with me. Andy, that's not what I meant to. This is what we're going to talk about. The Celtics traded for, of course, Jrue Holiday, veteran, ex-All-Star point guard. Of course, prior to that, we signed. We're going to have the guest. The guest is Mr. Warren Shaw. Prior to that, because we didn't speak about it, you and I, Boston signed Lamar Stevens to 1 year's deal. Stevens 26, average 5.3 point per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, 44.8 field goals, and 18 minutes per game to Cleveland. From Cleveland, 2023, 22-23. Lamar Stevens is known as solid defender. Now you're going to ask me why I'm posting this, because this man will be really important alongside the others for the depth. Anyway, I think that we have the guests, or at least I thought that we have the guest here, but he's not here yet. Okay. Anyway, after that, Mr. Jrue Holiday had, we have definitely the guest. Let me just try to put him on the screen. Yes, we definitely have Mr. Warren Shaw, and we will remove everything to have him at the screen with us. This is not his first time and not the last time, definitely on Shamrock Sports Talk Show. Hey Warren, how are you doing tonight? Let me just see you in a minute. Remove the picture of Jrue Holiday. Can you hear us? Welcome to the show, my man.
I can hear you. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks. Appreciate you. Sorry, a little late.
Never mind. We just started. Still trying to remove the picture. Anyway, let me just introduce you. For my just a minute. Let me just introduce you. Okay, now we can see you. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, let me just remove the banner. So Warren, thanks for coming here. Andy and I are very happy to have you because I know that you are busy. I'm going to try to be without the pictures. The picture appeared again. Anyway, he is co-founder of at 19 minutes per game group. He's the host of NBA Baseline and at Dope interviews in Celtics. And he has the site showsports.com. Is that right? And also Twitter at showsportsnba, and his link is link3 at Warren Shaw. So how your show is doing, when and where the people can hear you, and tell me about your work at the beginning, as always.
Yeah, thanks, Igor. I appreciate it. Yeah, for sure. You can check out the Baseline. We come out weekly. My co-host Cal Lee on the 19 Media Group Network, general NBA content each week. And then also jumped into another network where I cover the Celtics specifically with Gary Washburn from the Boston Globe Celtics. And we try to do that weekly as well. A lot of stuff happening, obviously, in Celtics land right now. So, for us, it's a great time of year to continue to produce content, and always a pleasure to be here with you and your listeners as well, too, man. So thanks so much for having me.
Congratulations, Gary Washburn is the one of the men that we are quoting here a lot, right, Andy? And I'm really glad that you advanced in your work. I really hope that you will have the good work here. I apologize. I don't know what is going on with the controls. Anyway, first of all, let me ask you before giving word to Andy, talking about Lamar's Jrue Holiday. Of course, the Celtics tomorrow have their first game in Philadelphia, against Philadelphia. And the Celtics signed, like I posted before, Lamar Stevens. Now, I wanted to ask Andy, and I'm going to ask you, the Celtics are now six deep, six playoff deep. Now, Andy will say that we have Oshie Brissett, and now we have Lamar Stevens. The question is, Warren, do you think that the Celtics are deep enough? This Lamar Stevens in Cleveland is known by his defense primarily. So he will be important for the perimeter defense in the second or the third units where the Celtics are without the starters and the injuries will happen. Hopefully, it will not happen, but we are very thin at the center position, and this is my primary concern. So, do you think that the Celtics are open to sign another player? Jay King mentioned Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock signed with Oklahoma City Thunder. Is that correct? Or Houston, pardon. Houston. So, I mean, we have assets to trade for him if we want to. Do you think that we will sign another guy or we will not be in a hurry to do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, from my perspective, I think it's a matter of they're going to go into the regular season with the lineup that they have now and see how guys like Brissett ultimately play. I think Brissett had some nice moments in Indiana, so you don't want to discount that. Banton as well too, if he makes a team from Toronto, has some nice moments here and there. And I think the signing of Mahailu was a little bit underrated. He was getting quality minutes, especially towards the end of last year in Charlotte. So I think all these guys are rotation players. You just got to see how it all mixes together. And ultimately, do the Celtics have enough defense? The biggest concerns are still the backup point guard and who's an actual playmaker. Peyton's going to play point guard, but that's more as a virtue of a size and not necessarily the ultimate skill set. And then I think, again, does Wayne and Gabriel make the team now as that kind of that third big? I don't know where you all stand on the Luke Cornett of it all. That's not somebody who I'm the biggest fan of and think he should remain on the roster. I'd rather actually keep Gabriel and then probably get rid of Cornett and try to bring in another big if it were me, but it's not me. And I think, you got to just figure out, what that front court is going to look like in terms of the defense, the rebounding, because you're not going to replace Rob 1-for-1. I mean, that's just gone. That was a cost of doing business to get Jrue Holiday. But I think when it comes down to the overall depth, it's just you have to wait to see what some of these guys can do first before you go in here and maybe swing. Hauser also needs to take a big step up. We expected him to do that last year, and he didn't, with the injury to Danilo Gallinari. So all these guys, like they're players, they're just not known big NBA names in terms of, that space in terms of rotation. But I think they're all will get a shot here. And don't forget Jordan Walsh as well, too. So there's guys. It's just you don't know everybody yet, and you got to figure out, how it all mixes together.
I'm going to put the picture of the players on the screen and give the word to Andy. Andy, shoot.
Well, I agree. I think there's a lot of, when you look at the deeper end of the Celtics roster, there's a lot of question marks there. And I agree with Warren. I think we're going to go into the season and see how many of those question marks turn into answers because, I think the thing I like about like Spee is that bringing him in, it either is a way to get some insurance if Hauser doesn't take that next step forward, or it's a way to kind of push Hauser to take that next step. So I think there's a lot of potential benefit there. I like Brissett a lot. I hadn't watched a lot of Brissett in Indiana before he was traded to Boston. Then I went back and watched some of his game footage, and I feel like he kind of brings maybe like a more athletic, more physical dimension to like the power forward position that Boston, especially with Rob gone, we don't necessarily have as much now. So I like that as well. I think there's a lot of places that Boston could have answers currently on the roster. It's just a matter of, are these guys, going to take that next step forward? I am not as big a fan of Cornett now with Porzingis on the roster. I feel like he was kind of with Boston before because of his height, and with Porzingis there, I feel like maybe that's not as important as it was. I would like to see us get like a better quality big man than Cornett to play backup, especially with Horford's age, and then obviously Porzingis' injury history. Hopefully nothing happens, but it almost feels like you're betting against the house, kind of.
Okay, I will the picture at your screen. So Warren and Andy, we have Jason Tatum, small forward, power forward, Jaylen Brown, shooting guard, small forward, Kristaps Porzingis, power forward, center, Jrue Holiday, point guard, shooting guard, Derek White, shooting guard, point guard, Al Horford, power forward, center, Jordan Walsh, rookie, small forward, shooting guard, Sviatoslav Mikhailiuk, small forward, shooting guard, Oshie Brissett, power forward, small forward, Sam Hussier, small forward, power forward, Peyton Pritchard, point guard, shooting guard, Luke Cornett, center, power forward, Delano Banton, point guard, small forward, two-way contracts. These are the people that I read are standard contracts. Now, two-way contracts are Jay Scrub, shooting guard, small forward, Nemis Kita, center, J.D. Davison, point guard. Now we have Exhibit 9 contracts. Lamar Stevens, that I mentioned, small forward, power forward. DJ Stewart, shooting guard. Vanian Gabriel, center, power forward. Kylor Kelly, power forward, center. We have one Exhibit 9 and three Exhibit 10 contracts. So coaches are Mazzulla, Sam Cassell, Anthony Dobbins, Amile Jefferson, Charles Lee, DJ McLeavy, Phil Prissy. Remember this guy? He's coaching staff, Matt Reynolds. So last year we were 57-25, lost to Miami 4-3. Key additions to the guys: Kristaps Porzingis, Jrue Holiday, Jordan Walsh, Sviatoslav Mikhailiuk, Oshie Brissett. Losses: Malcolm Brogdon, Smart, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Mike Muscala. Now, Warren, I mean, we have six guys, and I mean, when we are talking about the playoff picture, of course, it is. We have couple of options for the starting lineup. We can start. I have somewhere the picture, the small ball with Al Horford at the bench, starting Derek White, Jrue Holiday, Jaylen Brown at small forward, Jason Tatum at power forward, and Kristaps Porzingis at center, with Al Horford at the bench. Why is this important, and why is this, interesting lineup that maybe will start the season? Because number one, you are keeping Horford's minutes down at the bench and controlling Horford's minutes down at the bench easier with this lineup. And number two, you have the two guards. You have Jrue Holiday and Derek White, allowing Jason Tatum to operate at power forward, where he can be really dangerous. Or we can maybe start Derek White from the bench, and we can, start Al Horford at center, power forward, Kristaps Porzingis, and this is the small, starting lineup with Porzingis at center, or another starting lineup with Porzingis at power forward. We will see the both of them, and maybe more starting lineups, but which one do you prefer, and which one do you think the Celtics will start? I think this is the closing lineup, and maybe this is not going to be the starting lineup every single night.
Well, from my perspective, I'll give some credit to John Corrales, who does a great job, doing Locked On Celtics as well too. And I think as we kind of survey what the Celtics are at, I think the aspect of keeping Porzingis and Horford staggered as much as possible is really great for the spacing standpoint, especially when it comes to how much to play shooting threes. So that way you always have a big who can stretch the floor. on the floor instead of having kind of going double bigs. Again, maybe you can do that to kind of close some games, but I think starting lineups would probably be where Horford can come in for Porzingis as opposed to starting alongside him, at nauseum. Again, you're right. You'll see both lineups here and there, but I think the preferred lineup would be where they alternate, if you will, with Porzingis being the starter.
Porzingis is definitely the starter, but what I was alluding is you mentioned Cornet. He is the sub. Like when and if the Celtics are starting Horford, for example, I think that he is a substitution for the center, the Horford, or. His substitution even with Horford. Horford can play power forward, but
Igor, I'll say we'd be in trouble if that's the case, because I think that lineup probably means where Derek White is coming off the bench. So Derek White should probably be the sixth man if if they're starting double bigs. Derek White should probably be the guy who's coming off the bench because Holiday is not coming off the bench, and then that's where that lineup shifts a little bit too. Then you slide Tatum more to that that four spot. Again, if it was that's how I see Joe kind of doing that if they were to start the double bigs for whatever reason. But
this is lineup we are talking about.
For Cornet to get a whole lot of minutes here, especially in first quarters. You know what I mean? To relieve either one of those bigs either way, I think that would probably be a big mistake.
Do you believe that Gabriel and Kita will get the chance and will show something? What is your opinion about them? I mean, Gabriel was at with the Lakers, right?
Yeah, and again, energy big, rebounder, plays some defense. I think there's a spot there. I think he'd beat Aquita if really, if we're looking at it. I mean, he was on a roster, but there's also a reason why all these guys are available this stage in the season as well. You can't be expecting anything from any of those guys. You just need somebody to kind of come and eat up minutes, not hurt you, by turning the ball over, but play solid defense, rebound, and just try not to do too much.
Okay, Andy, do you have comments about the what we are talking about, the lineups?
Yeah, I agree. I think we're best off trying to stagger Porzingis and Horford. I think Joe Mazzulla, when he was on the podcast with JJ Redick, I think kind of alluded to the fact that they're going to change things up and mix and match a little bit as the season goes on, which would be completely expected. It's a new roster. I think the great thing with this roster is pretty much every player there has positional versatility, so you can kind of move people around a little bit more depending on your matchups. But yeah, I think overall Boston's going to try to stagger Horford and Porzingis. We saw it last year at the start of the season. Playing that type of 5-out basketball is really kind of where they're the best. So I think they're going to try to do that quite a bit this year to try to maximize the offense, because I feel like with Boston over the last few years, our defense hasn't necessarily been the problem. It's been the offense, and it's been the tendency of the offense to go cold at some of the worst possible times. And so I think that might be more of a focus that we see this year, is trying to keep that offense, at a high tempo, very productive. And I think the best way to do that is to stagger Horford and Porzingis so we can make sure we do have a big who can space the floor, so we're not clogging the driving lane. So we're forcing some of the mismatches out on the perimeter.
My standpoint is to conclude the story that we have maybe arguably one of the, if not the best, then one of the best starting lineups in the NBA. Milwaukee is having one as well. Phoenix Suns forming a great team there. They are going to give the run to Denver. Lakers are there at the West. Denver, defending champs. In my opinion, they will be still the favorites for the West, but I see that the people are giving advantage to Phoenix Suns. So we have the starting six. To say that way, the top six guys, maybe head to head with the best teams like Milwaukee Bucks, Denver Nuggets, Phoenix Suns. But I mean, our championship chances will depend on many factors. I mean, hope that health will be okay the next year. Hope that we will not have injuries. And like I was watching B-ball breakdown, if we do not get the contributions from the guys from the positions number 7 to 11, then we will be in trouble. If the guys like that you mentioned, Warren, Sam Hussier, Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornetto, Shea Brissett, Lamar Stevens, if they contribute, then we will definitely be fine. I still think that we need a center, maybe even small forward. I think that we have assets to do it during the season. I think that we're going to maybe wait the buyout candidates, but I can see another small trade for the center along the way. But I don't think that, like you said, I don't think that we are going to be in a hurry to do that, right?
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. I think again with all the changes that they've made, especially even now, days before training camp, even adding a great piece like Jrue Holiday, you're going back-to-back seasons where you've had a lot of unrest with whether that be at your roster, at your coaching position, and you just can't continue to tinker and tinker and tinker and tinker. So you have to let some things settle, get some semblance of a flow of how things are going to go, and then probably reassess as well too. You have to make the Jrue Holiday trade because it becomes available, and I get that too. But there's been a lot of shaking up of the roster. And when you think about losing emotional leaders like Rob, like Marcus Smart, like Grant Williams as well too, it's just a lot for the team to deal with. So I think for now, this is what you got. As you alluded to, you go into the season, see how things play out. Hopefully some of these rotation guys who you picked up can actually be rotation guys and not hurt you. And then if you need to make a move, you make a move. You still have the ability to do so.
And what is the most important, our chances to win the title. I saw the titles, we are all in. Yes, we are, but we have the championship window with these guys, top four, so they just started. The championship chances will depend on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and their development. I mean, if Tatum can elevate himself to MVP level, like Nikola Jokic did season couple of years and the season before, for example, the Celtics will definitely win the title. And we saw ex-Celtics, Eddie House, Paul Pierce, Sam Cassell, who is part of the coaching staff, training with them. And I was really happy. And Joe Mazzulla did a great job to do that. And I saw that Jaylen Brown is staying after the trainings to work on his skill sets. And this is what is the most important, to work at this stage. Let me talk a little about financial element of adding Jrue Holiday. The Celtics weren't just giving up draft assets and the players. They were also committing financially when it comes to the salary cap going forward. Holiday makes $35 million salary, and his trade signals that the Celtics will be second apron team this year. And Vic Grusbeck explained the decision. We haven't blinked at all. I was part of committee that put second and first apron in the place with the players committee, and we are aware of that. We are going to be over the second apron, I believe. Brad Stevenson paying those penalties, and that's the way life is. But it's designed also we can have more competition in the league, and we are fine with competition as long as we win. Since the start of the off-season, before the Celtics made significant changes, there were some major questions. If ownership is willing to spend, the new CBA is also restrictive. Andy and I discussed along. We dedicated one show to the salary cap and the sake of parity across the league, which Grusbeck pointed out. But with Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis deals, it's clear that the ownership is willing to spend during the Celtics title contending window. When it comes to the salary cap, any teams that are above the luxury tax of about 165.3 millions are to pay financial fines distributed to non-tax paying teams. But there are also penalties start coming in are the first apron. The first apron is about 172.3 millions, and the Celtics are about the second apron. They are set at the second apron, which is 182.8 millions. 182.8 millions, like Grusbeck said, probably will be above the second apron. That comes with harsher penalties, such as losing the tax-paying mid-level exception, non being able to include cash in the trade, and more. With the Celtics at the second apron, that means that the luxury tax bill is higher, while coming with other penalties. But the Celtics are at that point, ownership has shown willingness to pay a tax bill for sake of contending. So the Celtics now enter crucial season with revamped core of the players with high expectations. I remember 2008 when the team got together, when we got Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, Perkins, and they all joined. All of a sudden, things just felt different. Grusbeck said, Pierce were today at the practice bringing some magic, and he brought a lot of joy and energy to it. What do you think about definitely good stuff? And I'm really happy that ownership is willing to spend.
For me or Andrew?
Warren, you first, of course. You first.
All right. Well, I mean, again, I think really quickly, I think, when you have an ownership group that's willing to invest in the way that they are, you just have to be excited about that. But it is expensive. And at some point, I think all owners are the governors now. So governors look at their tax bill and say, all right, how close are we? So you can't flame out like Milwaukee did in the first round last year and expect that they'll just continue to spend, at some point. I give this group probably 2 years, basically to the end of Jrue's contract, which she was probably going to opt out anyway still. But either way, 2 years to kind of get it done. And they still have to continue to at least be making conference finals, and something unforeseen happened as to that, why that would not ultimately go away. But they are 1,000% all in. All the chips are in right now. They believe they have a chance to win an NBA championship. We've talked about how they can make some moves on the edges if need be. And I think they will, if they see that their window is really, really right now. But this, I think, is, like I said, a 2-year window at best. Andrew, I wanted you to jump in. What's your thoughts, my guy?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we have basically 2 years until like Jrue's contract expires. And I think that's plenty for a window. In terms of the spending, I'm glad that we went out and spent the money. I think when a player like Holiday pops up, I mean, I feel like that was like a no-brain trade. Like you do what you need to do to get that deal done. Bring him to Boston. I felt for years, I think we've talked about this in past years, Igor, and I've mentioned that he was one of the guards who I felt was a really good fit in Boston because of his versatility, because of the fact that he could fit in there as like almost like a co-star with the Jays, but also able to defer and let them do their thing and make them better at doing their thing without having to take, to have a high usage rate and have the ball all the time. I felt like he was a really good addition to the team in that respect. I think that now, we've talked about this before once again, there really are no excuses for this team this year. I mean, we could talk about injuries, I guess, but there really aren't excuses. Like, there's no more of this, like, oh, they're missing this player, they're missing this role, that role. The ownership group has gone all in. They've got the pieces to go out there and win a title. I'm not going to say we're favorites to win a title, but I think our chances are as good as anybody else in the NBA right now. So we have all the pieces we need. Mazzulla's had his year to figure things out and learn the ropes as a head coach. So really, we have 2 years. There's this 2-year window now, and it's kind of do or die. I feel like for this team, because I don't think if we can't accomplish that in 2 years, I don't see ownership continuing to foot the high tax bill if it looks like it's not paying off.
Yeah, Igor, let me just follow up on something Andrew said. I think it was really important as well, too. From the aspect of, right, we all were down
Mm-hmm.
on Mazzulla at points last year, first year coach. Is he doing enough, in essence, to kind of get the guys there? Andrew, it seems like you listened to his podcast on JJ Redick's show as well, too. And he talked about he did make a lot of mistakes. And figuring out the flow of when to call timeouts versus not
Mm-hmm.
and letting them play through it. But one of the things, too, that Brad also did and governorship also did is that hey, did they have enough assistants, top level assistants on the roster? And as you alluded to earlier, Igor, you added Phil Pressey, you added Sam Cassell and Charles Lee from
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee. Those are huge, huge additions, to this roster to help Joe
Mm-hmm.
all on the sidelines. And it comes down to crucial decision
Mm-hmm.
maker. You also give the players themselves, the next player in Sam Cassell, a former Celtic, who's also won an NBA championship as a Celtic. There's just a lot of respect there. So we're right. There are no excuses. Everything that needed to be done was in essence done, including not even know you could get a chance at Jrue Holiday. So the expectations are ultimately sky high, and they should be. And now it's up for this team to go out there and deliver, Joe Mazzulla included.
Excellent stuff, guys. We must talk about the other trade that actually was, how to say, prior to our trade, Jrue Holiday, but this is the blockbuster three teams trade, Portland and who else? The Bucks and Phoenix Suns, right? That landed Jrue Holiday to Portland prior to our trade. So we are not going to talk about the trade in details about Damian Lillard, but all I want to ask you is, what do you think about the Bucks? How feel? How do you feel that the Bucks are standing after Damian Lillard trade? Do you think that we are the favorites at the Eastern Conference? We are tied at the Eastern Conference. The Bucks are the favorites at the Eastern Conference. You heard Joel Embiid, who was in MVP race, saying, "Why do you all saying that the Celtics and the Bucks surpass us?" But they are probably going to trade James Harden because James Harden wants to be traded. He wants to be traded to Los Angeles Clippers, if I heard correctly. Los Angeles Clippers, they demand Terrence Mann. Philadelphia demand Terrence Mann and first round pick from Los Angeles Clippers for James Harden, if the report is true. First of all, how do you see the Celtics and the Bucks? I will try to find the picture.
Well, I think it's pretty even. I think what a lot of people are banking on is obviously the gravity Dave brings when he offensively, and that's ultimately going to be there. Giannis is super motivated. I've kind of joked on our show that he stated at the end of last year it wasn't a disappointment. Everything he said since then makes it seem like it was a disappointment. So I think you have a super motivated Giannis, moving into this season. Obviously, Dame now, while not getting his golden goose, if you will, and going to Miami, is still going to be right there, and giving a devastating pick and roll combination and allowing the Milwaukee Bucks to kind of get out of some of their minutia that they sometimes get offensively. Big caveats there, and I'll be really quickly about this. Is Adrian Griffin is now a first-year head coach, so that's a lot of great shiny new toys to play with as a first-year head coach. But does he have some of the growing pains that Mazzulla had, I think, last year, and does that ultimately cost him a chance? But where I think the Bucks can make a lot of hay, it's not only in the addition of Damian Lillard, is if Chris Middleton returns to any semblance of who he once was. He was 50-60% of himself last year. So if he gets back closer to 80 to 90%, that plus Dame gives Milwaukee so much more of a leg up in a way that a lot of people aren't also considering. It's not just Dame; it's a collective of those parts too. Especially if Middleton can get back to his former self.
Great stuff, Warren. Personally, I'm happy with this because I will explain why I think that Jrue Holiday is better fit than Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard would cost us maybe even more if that is possible, and I think it's possible. But imagine that Damian Lillard is here in the place of Jrue Holiday, and Jrue Holiday is up. Of course, Lillard is the superstar, and uh, he has higher players rating, to say that way, than Holiday. He's older, I think. Never mind. But Damian Lillard is the guy who requires the ball, who is the ball handler, who has the most touches in Portland. So we have two guys of that kind at the team, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Now imagine adding the third guy of that kind on the roster. We already have that one that required amount of shoots during the game in Porzingis. So adding a guy that is going to have the ball in his hands and required more touches and more shoots from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I don't think that this is going to work. What Andy and I talk about is for years, Andy, we don't have the floor general. We don't have the floor general. And I recommend the people to watch excellent video of basketball breakdown about Jrue Holiday trade, in which he compared Marcus Smart and Jrue Holiday. So kudos to Marcus Smart. But I think that we have reached the ceiling with Marcus Smart and this core. That's why they needed to change something. They needed to, do this trade. I don't have the statistics here, but for example, I think that about the ball handling, I'm giving advantage to Jrue Holiday. The area where the area where Jrue Holiday is better is post-up touches and post-up efficiency. His speciality in those actions, Warren, when he is with the ball at the low post. His specialty is to score in higher rate than Smart. And also the second thing, post efficiency and post up game, ball handling, and the second, of course, passing. I think that he has 7.3 assists per game. This is extremely important. And his the passes of Jrue Holiday are not fancy passes, skip passes behind the back. No, he's going to see the open guy. He is going to pass him the ball to the first open guy, drive and kick opportunities, and the shooters around him, Porzingis, Tatum, Horford, Brown, they're going to, and White, they're going to only be in game with Jrue Holiday. And the third, very important thing, he has smaller turnover rate than Marcus Smart in the playoffs. The turnovers absolutely killed the Celtics against Miami. So this is one of the area where we can diminish that. And finally, and not the least, the defense. His defense is not weakness. On the contrary, if I'm correct, he was the part of the all NBA second defensive teams couple of years, if not the last year. So I think the Jrue Holiday compared to Smart is improvement, and I think that Damian Lillard is not a good fit for the Celtics, and Jrue Holiday is. And I'm not talking this because Lillard is in Milwaukee. I didn't want Lillard. I was saying at my show, Andy knows, all time long, please do not make Damian Lillard trade, despite Tatum wanted him. Your opinion?
I don't disagree. I mean, I think there's a different level of gravity that Dames brings, and does he does he change his game some in essence to acquiesce to Tatum and or Brown? Don't know that you could have gotten Lillard there without Brown. So there's that aspect of it too. So there's just a lot of kind of unknowns to the overall of that situation. The way it plays out is the way that it ultimately played out, I think, is best for Boston. Holiday probably is a better fit. Still cost them a lot though. So it still costs them a lot, especially with those picks down the line and at the expense of Rob. Now, if they were able to, move Hauser, Pritchard, and whatever, cobble some of those other guys we were talking about as fringe guys, they'd still be in a depth standpoint. We'll have some issues, but at least you'd still have Rob on the front line. At the end of the day, I understand why, it didn't happen, but at the end of the day, Dame didn't want to come to Boston. And even, secondarily, when he acquiesced, it's like, all right, it wasn't going to go to Miami. He still didn't want to go to Boston. So in that case, yeah, well, the Celtics shouldn't want him either. And at the end of the day, with Jrue Holiday, they are in a much better situation. So I think, that's spot on analysis.
Thank you a lot, Andy. Your opinion? I know that you loved Jrue Holiday.
So I think the big thing to me is, like Warren said, like you have one guy who doesn't want to go to Boston, you have one guy who doesn't want to go. That's a huge factor right there. I think pretty much all of the rumors we heard was that Holiday wanted to come to Boston. He asked, like, that was on his list of places he wanted to go to. Back to the original question about the matchup with Milwaukee, I think it's going to be very close. I think Boston does have a slight edge. I think that edge is on defense because obviously Boston's going to struggle to defend Giannis. Everybody struggles to defend Giannis. That's a given. Milwaukee has two big weaknesses on the perimeter in defense, and Dame obviously is not exactly known for his defensive acumen. And then Brook Lopez is very vulnerable if you could get him switched on the perimeter. He's good if he can. He's a good defender if he can play drop. But if Boston runs 5 out against Milwaukee, they can't really drop Lopez. They're going to have to try to hide him and Dame. And I think that's something that Missoula can attack using a three-point heavy offense. I think it's going to come down to really whether or not the Giannis Lillard pick and roll, pick and pop, if that can generate enough points to overcome Boston's ability to exploit Lopez and Lillard on the perimeter. I do like Holiday against Dame in a matchup. I know in the past in one of his interviews, I think during the bubble period, Dame said that he considered Jrue Holiday to be the best guard defender in the NBA. And I believe there was another top guy. I want to say it was Steph Curry said a similar thing. It might not have been Steph. I might be thinking of somebody else. But Holiday is very, very highly regarded as a defender. So I think that's something that gives Boston a slight advantage. But, I mean, when you get down to it, both teams are so good. And honestly, they're good in different ways. So it's very hard to kind of predict that matchup. I think it will be really exciting if it happens in the playoffs.
And what I wanted to add, I posted the Chiron, the text at the screen. Jrue Holiday's 3-point percent with the Bucks last year, 39.5%. Damian Lillard's 3-point percent at the same time, 36.2%. And we will remember some Holiday's clutch threes in the last 3 minutes of the game. So he's not just distributor, but he can score also, from the actions when he is left alone, because we have the 3 stars, two superstars and one all-star, to say that way, and one guy in Porzingis that is close to be an all-star. So when you have that kind of team, the other 3 guys are going to get gravity in the offense. And actually, like I said, Jrue Holiday can score at the post. Leave Jrue Holiday against smaller defender 1-on-1, and he is going to score you 8 times or 7 times out of 10. He has very good percent down low, and he has solid percent from threes also, And about matching up Damian Lillard, it was absolutely brilliant move. Again, I must praise Brad Stevens. I was talking to Andy and the guys after Damian Lillard's trade. Boston Celtics simply had to do something to match that kind of move, because Bucks were favorites at that moment, right? And the Celtics did absolutely brilliant move, only logical move to get Holiday. And I heard that Holiday is going to sign the long-term deal here in Boston, which is also superb. So to keep that kind of six-man core is very important. And we will see what the rest of guys from Boston can do. And by the way, when we're talking about that, what do you think about Peyton Pritchard? Peyton Pritchard is working on his game reportedly as well. Can he be the part of second unit rotations alongside Sam Housier? Where are you standing at that front?
For me, I'm Peyton is a guy I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on because he also wanted to be out of here. He wanted an opportunity where he can thrive somewhere. So that's why I think in even the holiday discussions, Portland guy, et cetera, he thought he might have been on the move. All the video I've seen, he's actually working on his ball handling more than he is his shooting, which is probably really good news. And hopefully Sam Cassell is somebody who can help him alongside with that. Because if he's going to be out on the floor, he has to do more than just being a 3-point shooting threat. So if he can create even a little bit, because he's going to get picked on defensively, he just needs to bring that diversity to his game. And same thing in a contract year. So whatever, go out here, prove it in whatever minutes you can get. And then if you still don't want to return to Boston, well, maybe you've bumped up your value so you can get a better contract elsewhere if that ultimately is the case. So he's a guy I'm really most interested in because, like I said, he didn't want to be here. And between he and Grant Williams, and Grant and Joe had their issues, I thought Grant might still return. I thought Peyton was for sure gone, and it's been the exact opposite.
Andy, your opinion?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Peyton Pritchard does. I feel like it's one of those things that could go either way. Like he could be that guy who gets dissatisfied and, just kind of, I guess, cops an attitude about it, or he could go out there and play hard in the minutes he's given and try to raise that trade value. I think he could be somebody that would be moved if Boston gets to that midseason or gets to the trade deadline, feels like they need to patch up a hole somewhere. I'm interested to see if he gets a lot of playing time in Mazzulla's rotation, because last season he kind of fluctuated. He had some games where he had some good playing time, and then he kind of faded out of the rotation for a bit. So I'm interested to see if Joe gives him a lot of run or not. I mean, I feel like it would benefit Boston to do so, because if we are thinking we might need to make adjustments in the middle of the season, he's a guy that maybe could get some trade interest if we give him enough time to show what he can do. But at the same time, if we're playing for our record, his defensive issues, I feel like it's tough. On the one hand, I feel like we could hide him on defense because we have enough other good defenders. But like Warren said, I think if we're going to hide him, he needs to bring more to the table than just being almost like a hot and cold 3-point specialist, because he was one of those guys who get kind of streaky.
I can agree with Warren. He mentioned earlier that Sviatoslav Mihalyuk or Svi Mihalyuk, Ukraine player, if I'm correct, can be a really pleasant surprise in the second unit, and I'm rooting for it. Oshie Brissett, I'm kind of very excited to see him playing, and I want to see those centers, Kita and Gabriel, what they can do. Peyton Pritchard, like Warren said, and what is good thing about this trade that also Brad Stevens fixed? Couple of other things. Number one, Brogdon was not happy. Brogdon wanted out of Boston. According to all reports, this is not just my opinion. Globe reported that, if I'm correct. You are working with Gary Washburn, Warren, right? He was really not happy that he was included in the original trade proposals for Kristaps Porzingis, that trade that failed prior to Marcus Smart being traded. So they tried to fix the things between him. He was professional. He would appear to the training camp and he would play in Boston, but he didn't trust Boston anymore, and he was not happy. And I heard that he said he's embracing Portland as the new home, and he's ready for the fresh new start. I'm really happy for him. You said similar to Peyton Pritchard. We heard the statements that Peyton Pritchard wants to play more in regular basis, either here in Boston or some other places. Quote. So with this trade, we killed not one fly but three flies at the same time. We traded away disgruntled Malcolm Brogdon. We got the player that we wanted, and we traded away Robert Williams. Why? Robert Williams is a force when he is on the floor. But the big question is, we spent 38 shows talking about it. The big question is, if he is on the floor, he is the force. If he is on the floor, and how many games he will be capable to play in regular seasons, maybe 60, and he is very injury prone player, so he is committed to large sum of money, if I'm correct. He signed like 4 years, 54 millions. So Andy and I talk about it, and I think that Andy was very much into idea that we should trade Robert Williams and replace him with some big that maybe that big doesn't have the potential, and Robert Williams defensive abilities, but he is stable. He is playing full time. He is not injury prone. So with this trade, I really love it. We killed three flies at the same time. In my opinion, Brad Stevens did it. So kudos to him. Opinion, Warren?
Yeah, I understand that take for sure. And when I had to rationalize it for myself, Rob is not always available. That's a huge part of this deal. And I don't know if it gets made at that cost if he is a different player at this time. But you put a lot of time into him, and he can change the defense in a way that not a lot of guys do when he's there. But I think when you weigh the cost benefit analysis, you just say, listen, Jrue is just such an amazing player. You have to kind of do that. And this is kind of the cost of doing business as a result. And then, as you're alluding to in some ways as well, too, Brogdon gets out 6th man of the year, but then maybe does open up a couple more minutes here for Peyton Pritchard to also, get some time. I don't know what that's going to look like. Is it 15 minutes a night, 20 minutes a night? Can't imagine it's going to be much more than that, but can he be productive in that time? So I agree with you in terms of the overall assessment. All things kind of came alongside as a result of this trade. And it's crazy how the NBA works, because a month ago, none of this would have even been possible, right? Dame was almost for surely going to Miami or just returning to Portland. Somehow Milwaukee gets involved, and then they create a problem for themselves. And I think Portland, it was so smart, so smart, because in reality, they can still flip Brogdon. Even if he does want to play good soldier, you can keep Brogdon there to kind of set the tone for guys like Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons and so forth, but flip him again, probably to the Clippers. And I said on Twitter, I was like, listen, if they really want to be, agents of chaos, flip him to Philadelphia. And, you know what I mean? And then they would have just screwed up the entire Eastern Conference. I think, what I mean? If I'm Joe Cronin, I'm over here playing puppet, just like, oh, how can I make everybody mad over there in the Eastern Conference? So I think Portland's done a really amazing job. Right now they say they want to keep Rob as well too, but he's also tradable if they really just didn't. I just think Portland has done such an amazing job with this, considering the situation Dame put them in the beginning of the summer.
Andy, want to add something?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to say I agree that Portland handled the situation with Dame really, really well. I mean, the amount of assets they flipped, a disgruntled superstar who was demanding a trade to a specific team, which looked like it was going to limit their options, and then how they've managed to execute the trade with Milwaukee, turn around, flip the assets from that trade into more assets is very impressive.
Really impressive.
And I don't know. I'm interested to see how Portland develops. I'm interested to see if they move Brogdon again or not, but we'll see.
A couple of quick questions before we end the show, because we are running out of time for the TV. We're not going to be Roku TV in a couple of minutes, but we can continue because we have the live stream at the YouTube, right? A couple of questions about the rivals. James Harden, will he be traded to Clippers, elsewhere. Your opinion, because he is causing chaos, and I'm really happy about it because he is in Philadelphia, he's not in Boston. I mean, if Philadelphia loses him, do you see that they try to replace him somehow, or maybe not?
I think really quickly, you know, Daryl Morey is a pretty good GM in terms of like trying to extract assets from people. So if they move on from Harden, they know they have the reigning MVP there, that they can't just take a step back in any capacity. So whether they get Terrence Mann and some picks back, they'll flip that
Yep.
again, I think, in essence, to try to get probably a player of some level of quality that can complement the roster. But Tyrese Maxey is a great basketball player. You need to open up some time for him.
Yes, he is.
Tobias Harris, say what you want, can probably do more. And we got to see how Nick Nurse's offense kind of ultimately brings that team up there in Philadelphia. But I can't imagine Harden's going to be on this roster at the end of the season.
Yeah, Philadelphia is number 3 in my books. Pardon, Miami is number 3. Despite they are accusing Miami and my brain stops. GM that he failed to hire. He tried to trade for 7 guards or 7 guys, and he failed. This was not his fault because I think that the price that Portland required from Miami was too high. They required Jimmy Butler and another guy, if I'm correct, I cannot remember. So I mean, Miami is number 3, Philadelphia number 4. We have a couple of other teams. New York is there. New York improved a little, I think. Cleveland is there. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and that team. So we will have really interesting competition. I think that we have another team that I'm forgetting, Andy, but the competition will be really interesting at the Eastern Conference, right, Andy?
Yeah, no, I think so. You know what team I think, if I had to choose like a dark horse candidate for this season that nobody sees coming, that could surprise people in the East, it would be Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn, like, nobody's talking about them with good reason, but if the stars align for them, they could be a good team. I do think, in terms of Harden, I don't think he'll be on Philly's roster by the end of the season. I don't know where he's going to end up, because with all the antics that Harden has pulled, I find it hard to believe that a contending team will want to run the risk with that. But then again, GMs in the NBA sometimes do some pretty interesting, or make some pretty interesting decisions. So certainly not. But I'm not convinced that James Harden is playing consistently at the level that would justify the circus that he tends to bring with him. And I think at some point in time, I feel like Harden is kind of Harden's own worst enemy, in that with all these different antics and acts that he's pulled to try to get his way and try to get to a winning team, I don't know if a contending team is really going to want to run the risk with that. For Philly, I feel like the big, honestly, I think I'm probably a minority with this. I feel like the limiting factor for Philadelphia in the playoffs is Joel Embiid. And I've said that, I think, to you before, but I feel like the limiting factor with Embiid is the fact that he's very, very good at what he does, but he's very one-dimensional in a lot of ways. Yeah, well, I mean, like, the thing with Embiid, though, is he doesn't have great playmaking. He doesn't have great court vision. And I don't know if this is a design from his coaches or if this is what he wants, but he keeps demanding to get the ball up near the 3-point line, or in the long mid-range area, and then he gets doubled. He can't really figure out, it's like he can't figure out how to use his size when he gets the ball up there. And I don't know if those are the injuries that he supposedly gets every playoffs, or if it's just he doesn't understand body mechanics and how to use his size. but I think that's why you see him, because he gets the ball up near the 3-point line. You see teams defend him with guys like Grant Williams. They defend him with guys like OG Anunoby in the playoffs. And he like dribbles into these mid-range shots like he's Chris Paul. And he's good at making them. But it's like when those shots aren't falling, he keeps shooting them instead of just putting his back to the basket and backing down whoever's trying to defend him. And I feel like until he really learns to do what like Jokic does with making like the cross court read, the cross court pass, and passing out that double, I feel like that's going to be a limiting factor for the Sixers. And I feel like we've seen Boston expose that enough in the playoffs. And I think we've seen other teams. I think Toronto exposed it to some degree, and I think Atlanta did, just not successfully.
Excellent stuff. One more question, Warren, before or maybe about the Western Conference. First of all, Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns are there. Phoenix Suns did a great job in fulfilling the roster. They have starting five of, for example, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Josh Okogie, and Yusuf Nurkic. Nurkic was part of three teams trade that sent Damian Lillard to Milwaukee. Then beyond that starting five, to say that way, they have Eric Gordon, they have Bol, they have TJ Warren, they have Grayson Allen, and they want to sign John Wall. So they are, if they sign, for example, John Wall is working out with them, and if they sign John Wall, for example, they're going to be a 10 deep team. For example, we have reigning champs. They lost a couple of players from the reigning champs, but they are still the same. They are still the same team, the same core. Denver Nuggets. We have Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers re-signed a couple of guys. They improved a little, I think. So the race at the Western Conference will be between those three teams. We have Memphis Grizzlies. They have suspension of their star. Marcus Smart will fulfill for their star the first 25 games, and they have the same core as well. Memphis number 4. But let me first ask you about Phoenix Suns. How do you stand about them? Do you think that they are favorites at the Western Conference? And short opinion about them.
Yeah, so I think Phoenix, I wouldn't give them the favorites only because I think you have to beat the champs. And I understand they made a great move.
I agree.
Bradley Beal, but Denver is the champs until they're not at this stage, right? So my biggest Phoenix is always health. They have a lot of great talent on that team, but all three of those guys are very injury prone at this stage of their career. So, Beal, Booker to a lesser degree, and obviously Durant, we've seen them go down here multiple seasons in a row here. So that's the biggest question, right? And again, another new coach, Frank Vogel. So we got to see with Phoenix. I'm not putting my chips in on there. I'll go with Denver. And while the Lakers are the Lakers, everyone loves what they did in this offseason. Again, AD and LeBron at this stage also got to prove that they can stay healthy for the entirety of the season and see what they can go as well too. But everyone loves their moves, and I think at first I'm coming down off of that. Maybe it's my Laker hate, speaking a little bit. They're still a very good basketball team. It should still be top 3 in the West. Golden State still has a chance to kind of sneak in here. Obviously Memphis when they get Ja Morant back as well. Minnesota, Anthony Edwards takes a leap. Cat's healthy the entire season. The West is going to be crazy. It's deeper than the East again. The East is very top heavy with Boston and Boston, Milwaukee rather. Miami's right there as well too. But the West is, I literally think you can have 2 games separating the 2 and 7 seeds and just going down to tiebreakers more than anything else.
Andy, your opinion? Then I will say mine.
Yeah, I'm right there with Warren. I think you as well. I think until somebody beats Denver's it for me in the West. Probably overall too, because they're returning the same starting group. So yeah, Phoenix, KD's health, that's the big question. And I think the other question is who's going to be the leader on that team, because we kind of saw in Brooklyn, KD could kind of struggle. Like KD's not really the leader of a team. He's the best player, but he seems to just not want to be in that leadership role. So I guess Booker could probably do that. But I think that's a question. And then I think the other two, Lakers and Golden State, I feel like at this point, as much as I dislike him, LeBron's kind of like Tom Brady was in the NFL, can never really count the guy's team out because he could just get to the playoffs and end up winning everything. Feel like the same thing with Steph and the Warriors. They just have such a long track record of success. You can never really count them out until they're actually out.
I will say that I really love the Phoenix moves. I really love the Phoenix team. I think that they have even depth. They may sign, like I said, Wall and a couple of other guys. The health is the big concern. Warren is right. But other than that, they can win it all. But the defense is a little question mark for them, but we will see. Denver is the favorites, like Warren said. Denver still team to beat, but he mentioned he has the great take. Lakers number 3, Memphis Grizzlies maybe number 4, or maybe Golden State Warriors. They're playing tonight. They will be interesting to watch as well. Then Minnesota Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards and Carl Anthony Towns and the others. Edwards, a member of the Team USA, he played well at the World Championship, even though the Team USA didn't win the medal, but he played great for them. Memphis Grizzlies. Maybe my favorite young team at the Western Conference, even though their leader is not mature as it seems, but their team is really have great potential. So the West are going to be crazy. At the Eastern Conference, expected Eastern Conference Finals, unless something big happens. Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, but Miami is there. They proved that they can be in the finals, be the title contenders, and we cannot count them out. I'm not counting out Philadelphia. Warren is right. They have the good players, great players, the new coach. How they will replace Harden, what will happen, we will see that kind of dynamic, but they are number 4 in my books. Number 5, Cleveland Cavaliers. They have the good team. They were, if I'm correct, number 3 or number 4 the last year. So they have the great team, a solid team, to say that way. Number 6 are New York Knicks. They will be right there, I think. Atlanta Hawks should be the playoff team as well. But we will see what happens. And Andy mentioned Brooklyn. Let's say that Brooklyn is another team, even though I think they will be in the play-in tournament. So West is deeper than East, I agree. But projected Western Conference Finals, in my view, Phoenix Suns and Denver Nuggets. But the upset from the Lakers, from Golden State Warriors, they are possible. That's it. Warren, do you have something to add on the story?
No, not on that side. I'll just say, it's funny we talked about the West and didn't even give any credit to the Sacramento Kings, who were the 3rd seed last year.
Sacramento Kings. Right. Sacramento, okay, man, yeah.
Like they have forget about it. Now SGA, potential MVP candidate, that they get Chet Holmgren into.
Absolutely.
Well, do you think Zion Williams is healthy? And then does Zion do anything to help New Orleans? So the West is crazy. It's going to be a great NBA season. Can't wait to watch. Hopefully the Celtics can ride out here in the Eastern Conference, because the West.
Sacramento is fun to watch. I watched their game. I love De'Aaron Fox. I love Sabonis. I love Hertel, and the other guy that they traded. My mind stopped. Yeah, they have really, really solid young team. You're totally correct. We forgot about them. Credit to them. Andy?
So I guess my question for Warren is, what do you think about Dallas? Do you think, if Luka and Kyrie can figure it out, it seems like it could be really good, but I'm just not convinced they could really figure out how to make that work.
Yeah,
and tough, Grant Williams.
Yeah. So again, those are only 3 starters, right? They're saying Grant will start, Kyrie and Luka, and then everything else we'll see. Derek Lively maybe, and whoever else. Was it Green? I think they have that at the forward position or whatever.
Green.
It's tough. It's tough. Jaden Hardy's on that. Just anyway, there's a lot of guys in Dallas, who can potentially figure some things out. Kid has got to take this off season and this camp to figure out how Kyrie and Luka can really complement each other, and not your turn, my turn, right? and figure out from there, how to complement the rest of the roster. But they did make some solid moves that I think, again, if everyone can play their role, they should be back in the playoff hunt as well too. So another team, as you're alluding to, Luka, also fringe MVP candidate as well. So the West,
Absolutely.
I'm good. I don't want any part of that.
Absolutely. Again, I'm really hoping for Boston that everything is going to be okay. The health is going to be okay. I'm sure that Holiday will be a good guy for us. I really hope, like I said, I wanted Warren Reggie Bullock. I think that we should try to sign, despite my hate towards him as personality. I wanted at some point Dwight Howard, but I changed my mind. Maybe we could try to make a small trade for somebody like Daniel Theis, who is the world champion, right? To bring him back, who knows the system as backup guy, So the two small moves, for example, Daniel Theis, Reggie Bullock, give me two more guys, rotational guys. Give me Boston, who is 8 deep. And when I say 8 deep, I mean the playoffs. In the playoffs, we are 6 and to stretch 7 deep. I mean, for the playoffs. So give me two more guys reliable for the playoffs, and I'm all in for Boston to win the Eastern Conference and the championship. Right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you got to have at least 8 guys there that you can trust, and I think Missoula is going to figure that out. But as we were saying earlier, maybe somebody will surprise us, right? So we'll wait to see.
Michaluk,
right? Proven guys, I get it completely, but at this stage, even to try to keep your tax bill a little bit lower, go see what Brissett and Hauser and guys like that, Mihailo, how they can play, and see if they can be guys who
absolutely
down the stretch.
Okay, that's it. Closing words, Andy.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a really exciting season for Boston. This is certainly the best team we've had since 2008, I think, in terms of going into a season with a bunch of new players. So, very exciting team to watch. I think the big concern is injuries, but I mean that's going to be a concern every year for every team. So, if this team can realize its potential, I think there's really nobody who's clear-cut better than them in the NBA right now.
This is definitely the best Celtics team since 2008, in my opinion. I mean, this team with, the best team. This is not the good. Probably the best team, but this team with Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward has the potential to be right there, but didn't fulfill the potential. But this team has potential to be the best team since 2008, and I really hope that it will fulfill the potential. Okay, Warren, the show is over. We kept you longer than expected, but I think that you enjoyed the conversation, or at least I really hope that you enjoyed the conversation just like the two of us. And with you, the time is flying and the questions are coming, with the three guys that are talking hoops, the questions are coming. So I think that we had a great time here, right?
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to be here. Continued success on your show. Love what y'all are doing as always, giving the butter goods, as I like to say on our show, about when it comes to the Boston Celtics, not being too homerism as well, too, just trying to keep a realistic view on it. So thanks for inviting me. Always happy to come on, and, looking forward to the season, man. Can't wait, man. The Celtics.
Tell me when and where are your shows for the end?
For sure. Shaw Sports NBA on Twitter is a way to follow me. And the Baseline. Baseline is a weekly NBA show. We do that, usually release on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then again, obviously for our green friends, New and Believe in Celtics with my guy Gary Washburn on the Boston Globes every week as well too. So that one is a little bit more sporadic based on Gary's schedule because he's traveling with the team. I'm not as cool as Gary is. So we kind of have to work around what Gary has availability, but we try to make sure we get out there every week as well too. Get a lot of great insight there on Believe in Celtics.
Great stuff, Warren. The best of luck with Gary. I'm really happy for you, and we will definitely talk during the season. We will call you when and if your time is allowing us. And thanks to your family for sharing your time, precious time with you. Tomorrow, if I'm correct, 12 a.m. or no, 6 a.m. Philadelphia and Boston preseason is starting. So tomorrow we are going to see the Celtics basketball finally. And the next week, Andy and I are going to talk about the Celtics preseason basketball. The best of luck, ladies and gentlemen. That was one and only Warren Shaw. Listen to this man because he knows what he's talking about, and listen to his podcast. He's my friend, and we're going to see him again. The show is over, and go Celtics tomorrow. The best of luck, Warren. See you the next week, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so thing is not working.
Thank you for listening to the Shamrock Sports Talk Show. We're here every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are the best four-leaf lucky show in the area. This show comes to you by way of the In the Zone Sports Talk Show Network, LLC. And be sure to download the Try 99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support. Thank you for listening to the Shamrock Sports Talk Show. We're here every